Every season there are players who look to make that next jump and become a better player than before, whether that is trying to make the jump to become an All-Star, All-NBA, or even an MVP candidate. I have a breakout player who might just be able to put up some great stats this year and can help bring his team back to the playoffs. Last season, I made the same video, and it went completely wrong. If you haven't watched that video, my breakout player was Jordan Poole, which we all know had a very bad season, but I'm here to redeem myself this season. I didn't want to go into hiding and not come out with another video this year. Last year, it didn't work out so well, but I'm coming back this year. And with that being said, here is my pick for my breakout player this year, who I think could put up some MVP type numbers this year. There were only 6 players last season to put up at least 20, 9, and 5. 3 of them have already won the MVP trophy, being Jokic, Giannis, and Embiid. The other 2 were either All-Star or All-NBA caliber, with Luka Doncic and Julius Randle. So who is that final player? None other than Alperen Sengun, which you probably saw from the thumbnail. Sengun has one leg up on the rest of this list though, and that is his age. He is 22 years old putting up these stats and has so much more room to grow. Looking at his stats from last season, his 3-point percentage wasn't great at just under 30%, but it was because he attempted nearly 2 threes a game last season, where the season before he was averaging less than 1 3 per game and had a better percentage. His strong suit is his ability to get to the rim, as he shot 53.7% last season, which was the 23rd best percentage in the league. He also increased his assists per game, going from 2.6 his rookie season just 2 years ago to almost double now at 5 per game. He also continued to improve as a defender, becoming statistically a top 15 defender last year, on top of improving his offense as well. And like I said before, he just turned 22. He has so much ahead of him. But let's look at the rest of this team to see if he can really put those stats up next year. Now, looking at this Rockets team, they have one of the best young cores in the league, with no doubt about it. Signing veterans as well, like Fred VanVleet in the past offseason and Dillon Brooks. But this team itself, if we look at the guard rotation, you have guys like Fred VanVleet, who I just mentioned, Jalen Green, Amen Thompson, Reed Sheppard both coming in, Cam Whitmore, who I still think could be a serviceable guy in the future. Then, at the forward positions, you have Dillon Brooks, Amen Thompson, the backup at small forward, or Cam Whitmore as well. And then at power forward, Jabari Smith Jr., Tari Eason. And then at the center position, Alperen Sengun as the starter. And then Steven Adams, who they just signed this past offseason going into this year. Now, looking at this team, you may say there's a lot of young guys who want to shoot the ball. And I do agree with that in a sense. But also, when we're looking at guys like Amen Thompson isn't going to be a very aggressive offensive player, as we have seen so far. He's very good at getting to the rim, yes, but he is not a very good 3-point shooter, so it's not like he's going to be taking away those opportunities from Sengun. And I think Sengun can actually impact this team passing the ball as well. As I've said before, he has continued to become a great passer, which can also help with guys like Fred VanVleet, Jalen Green, and Dillon Brooks, who will all be able to shoot the ball as well, especially a guy like Dillon Brooks. But a guy like Jalen Green, you may look at and say, oh, well, that's another young player who's going to shoot a lot, and that may take touches away from Sengun. Last year, Jalen Green had a decent year, a good year, I would say, putting up nearly 20 points per game, 5.2 rebounds. His shooting splits, 42% from the field, 33% from 3, so just about his average from his career so far, almost exactly the same throughout his whole entire career. And he's one of those guys that has been good since he started playing, but really hasn't improved that much, in my opinion. Like I just said, his stats from last season are the exact same as his career so far. So he's kind of been on not a downturn, I would say, but hasn't really gone up as much as we would have expected, as he was putting up 17 points per game his rookie season, went to 22 the year after, and then back down to 19.6 this year because Sengun got so much better. His 3-point percentage hasn't really got much better either. His field goal percentage has actually got worse as well, and his 3-point percentage has actually got worse as well since his rookie season. So a guy like Jalen Green is good, but he hasn't been progressing for you as a team. So what do you do with a guy like that? When I look at this team, there's a lot of good young talent, and maybe they go out there and try to build this team around Sengun, and that's the main reason why I think he will be able to stay instead of all these other guys on the team that we look at. Am I saying you go out and trade Jalen Green tomorrow? No, not necessarily. But if I'm the Rockets and I'm looking at this team right now, you have a lot of good guards right now, and you continue to draft them. Guys like Amen Thompson last year who can play that forward position as well. Guys like Reed Shepherd who you got this year, who I think is going to be a fantastic NBA player within the next few years. Maybe not an all-star level player. Would I be surprised if he was? A little bit, but I do think he could be a very serviceable, good guy. A top 3 pick this year, and I think he's going to be one of those guys in this year's draft that can actually be good. I know this year's draft has got a lot of flack, but getting back to the point at hand, I think the Rockets' best chance to become a contender moving forward is to build this team around Sengun, because he has all of the tools that you need. He's continued to get his passing up. He's a good rebounder. He's continued to become a better defender as he's top 15 now in defensive percentage. Overall, he's been fantastic scoring as well. Yes, he can get that 3-point percentage up. If not, it's not like he's at Ben Simmons 3-point level. He's still going to be able to shoot the ball, just maybe at a 30% clip, which isn't the best, but you can always figure that out. We've seen what's happened with guys like Giannis who have gone out there and done it. Embiid has became a better 3-point shooter, though I think he was a little more skilled to start with at the 3-point line anyway. But like I said, looking at this team, I think Sengun can be the guy that they can build around, and I do think they're going to be a team that they continue to go out and trade. Maybe they have a big trade before the season even starts, but I do think they're going to try to retool this roster and maybe finally start to contend, as last year they had a very good season. At the beginning of the season, they're one of the top seeds in the West, and people forgot about that just because they kind of fizzled out towards the end. Still ended 41-41 with a very young team, but we'll have to see what happens going forward. Sengun and pretty much most of these guys on the roster have been in trade talks the past few weeks, the past few months, just because they're young players on a team that may be selling. But like I said, I do believe the future of the Houston Rockets should be to build around Alperen Sengun at the center position, because like we have seen throughout the past few years with these guys who have gone on to win MVP, it's pretty much been centers and power forwards with Giannis, Jokic, and Embiid throughout the past few years. And all of those guys know how to play offensively and defensively, and I think Sengun, being a very young player like I mentioned before, literally just turning 22 a few days ago as of this recording, 5 days ago as of this recording, I think he has a lot that he can prove throughout the next season. And if they go out and do make a blockbuster trade, maybe get some older veteran guys to build with this younger roster, I think this team could be a scary team within the next few years and kind of build onto that kind of momentum that we've seen from a team like the Thunder, who went out and they got their guy in Shea. Obviously they traded for Shea. Sengun has been with the Rockets, but that's neither here nor there. They have the young talent now. You have to go out and compete now while the players are still young and still on those rookie contracts. I think he'll be okay with his injury. I don't expect that to interfere with him too much. And if he does come back fully healthy, I'm not saying he's going to win MVP this year, but I do think he can go out there and put up the stats that can compete with a MVP trophy. And I do think he is the future of the Houston Rockets. Let me know down below what you guys think about this. Let me know who your prediction is for MVP. And like I said, it's not a cop-out answer. I'm not saying Sengun is going to be the MVP this year. I just think he's going to put up some great numbers, MVP-type numbers. I wouldn't be surprised if he's in that top 10 or top 5 of voting this year. But let me know who you guys think is going to be the MVP. And I'll see you guys in the next one.